Dr. Elias Rourke started his morning the same way he always did on the colony of Lunareth. He walked across the open metal bridge that connected the dormitory block to the small medical station, sipping a warm drink that tasted almost like coffee but came from a local plant. The sky was pale blue, with 3 moons hanging like faint lanterns. The air always smelled a little sweet because of the glowing moss that grew everywhere on the planet. Humans had only been here for 6 years, and every day still felt like a strange adventure. Elias liked Lunareth. He liked the quiet mornings, the friendly miners waving to him, and the children running between the houses made of white stone. Most of all, he liked helping people. The colony was small, so there were not many doctors. Most of the time he treated simple injuries or common sicknesses. He expected today would be the same. He walked into the clinic, turned on the lights, checked the supply cabinets, and powered up the diagnostic table. Everything seemed normal. He put on his coat and sat down to read the overnight report. Then the door slid open, and everything changed. A small figure stepped inside. At first, Elias thought it was a human child. But then he noticed the silver glow around the girl's hair, the way it shimmered like threads of moonlight. She belonged to the Arlani, one of the first alien species to welcome humans to Lunareth. The Arlani were known for their long, silky hair that carried tiny natural enzymes used for healing. Their hair was sacred, valued, and rarely cut. But the girl standing in the doorway had uneven patches where chunks of her hair were missing. Some parts were trimmed short, others still long, and the cut edges looked rough, as though done with shaking hands. She looked weak, her breathing fast and shallow. She held a small cloth satchel against her chest, gripping it as if it were all she had left. Elias stood quickly. "Hello there," he said gently. "Are you hurt? Please, come sit down." The girl hesitated. Her large lavender eyes blinked slowly. She seemed scared, but also desperate. After a moment, she moved toward the examination table and climbed onto it carefully, almost collapsing halfway. Elias helped support her and guided her to sit. "My name is Elias," he said, trying to sound calm and warm. "Can you tell me yours?" Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Kaylee." "That's a beautiful name," Elias said. "What brings you here, Kaylee? Are you in pain?" Kaylee didn't answer right away. Instead, she placed the cloth satchel on her lap and opened it. Inside were clumps of her own silver hair, cut clean from the root. Elias's heart tightened. She said quietly, "I came to trade this for medicine." Elias froze for a second. Arlani hair was used as a base for many of their traditional remedies, but families usually offered only a few strands. Feintant, ATA, Techli 8, never something like this. The amount inside the bag looked like it must have taken hours of cutting, and she looked very young, no older than 10, by human comparison. He knelt beside her. "Kaylee, why did you cut so much of your hair?" Her eyes filled with worry. "Because I am sick. My mother and father do not have enough hair to trade. The serum is very costly this season. I thought, if I bring enough, I can get the bottle myself, before it becomes worse." Elias looked at her face. Her skin, normally a gentle violet, had a dull tone. Her eyelids drooped. There were faint marks on her neck, signs of infection. He had seen similar symptoms in both humans and a few Arlani before. But the disease usually spread faster in Arlani children. "Kaylee," he asked softly, "how long have you felt this way?" 3 days, she whispered. "But today was the hardest. My legs feel heavy. My chest feels tight." Elias checked her pulse. It was fast. Too fast. He scanned her with a basic diagnostic tool. It showed abnormal readings in her immune system. She wasn't just a little sick, she was declining quickly. If she had waited even a day longer, she might not have survived the walk to the clinic. He swallowed. And your parents? Do they know you're here? She shook her head. They were working. I did not want to trouble them. They already worry. They already gave as much hair as they could. Elias sighed quietly. It wasn't uncommon. After a poor harvest season, the Arlani market prices rose sharply. Many families were struggling, and the council had strict rules about cross-species medical treatment. Humans were allowed to help Arlani only if the Arlani remedies failed completely or if the council approved it. That rule made sense politically. But medically, it created delays. Dangerous delays. He looked at the little girl sitting on the table, trying to be brave, trying not to cry even though she could barely stay upright. Kaylee, Elias said gently, I want to help you. But I need to understand one thing. What made you think cutting your own hair would be enough? She lowered her head. Hair is medicine. If I give more, I can get more medicine. My grandmother used to say, our hair is our strength. Elias looked at the bag again. Most of the hair she had cut was long and healthy. She must have been cutting all night, gathering it one handful at a time, determined to save herself even if she didn't understand the illness. He spoke softly. Hair can help. Yes. But it cannot heal everything. She looked up at him, her eyes wide and frightened. It can't? No, he said, shaking his head. Your illness needs more than this. The Arlani serum only slows this infection, but it does not remove it. It won't cure you. Kylie's face went pale, even paler than before. Then, I did this for nothing. I cut all of it. For nothing? Her voice broke, and she bit her lip hard, trying not to cry. The sight hit Elias deeply. She had tried to save herself the only way she knew, but she had misunderstood how serious her condition was. Elias sat on the stool beside her and spoke softly. Listen, Kaylee. Cutting your hair wasn't for nothing. It shows how strong you are. It shows how much you want to live. He paused. But now that you're here, I can treat you. I won't let anything happen to you. Kaylee studied him carefully, as if trying to decide whether to trust a human. She trembled slightly. Not from fear, but from the illness weakening her. You can help? She asked. Yes, Elias said firmly. But first, I want you to lie down. I need to check something more. She lay back slowly. Elias adjusted the scanner again, choosing a deeper scan this time. The results confirmed his suspicion. The infection was not Arlani-specific. It was a bacteria type that affected multiple species, but reacted very well to human-designed antibiotics. In fact, humans had already developed a cure for it decades ago. But the rules were the rules. He rubbed his forehead. If he didn't treat her, she would get worse. The Arlani serum she had hoped to buy would not be enough. It might even hide the symptoms until it was too late. She needed proper medicine. And she needed it immediately. He looked at her fragile form lying on the table. She was breathing faster. Her hands trembled. The little pouch of hair lay beside her like a sad reminder of her fear and bravery. She whispered. Elias's heart tightened. No, he said gently but firmly. Not while I'm here. I won't let that happen. Kaylee's eyes softened a little. For the first time, she seemed hopeful. She watched him with a mixture of curiosity and trust. Something rare between Arlani children and humans. Elias took a long breath and made a silent promise to himself. He would save her, no matter what the regulations said. As the clinic hummed quietly around them, Elias prepared his tools, set up the equipment, and made the choice that would change everything, not only for Kaylee, but for the entire colony. The human doctor would save the alien girl, and the story would begin here. Elias worked quickly, adjusting the small scanner on the table, while Kaylee tried to stay awake. Her breathing had become slower and heavier, like she had to think about every breath she took. She watched him with tired eyes, but there was a tiny spark of trust now. She didn't know how human medicine worked, but she could feel that the human doctor was trying his best. Elias checked the readings again. The bacteria was spreading fast. In a few hours it would reach her lungs completely. Her body was already losing the fight. She needed antibiotics made for multi-species infections. Humans had them, and they worked well. But the colony council had strict rules about giving human medicine to Arlani citizens without permission. They believed every species should rely on their own medical traditions first. They said it protected cultural balance. Elias had always tried to respect the rules. But now, he felt they were standing between a child and her life. He stepped away from the scanner and took a slow breath. He needed to think clearly. He moved to the supply cabinet and opened a drawer filled with small silver vials. Inside were antibiotics that humans used on Lunarith and on other colonies. They were strong, safe, and exactly what Kaeli needed. He stared at them for a long moment. If he gave her the medicine without approval, and the council found out, he would be punished. He could lose his license. He could lose his position on Lunarith. Maybe even be sent back to Earth in shame. But he knew that if he followed the rules and waited for permission, Kaeli might not survive the delay. He closed the drawer slowly. Kaeli watched him with half-open eyes. "Doctor, what is wrong?" "Nothing," he said softly. "I'm trying to decide the best way to help you." Hauer spewed. Hauer spewed. Hauer spewed. Abewed. She blinked slowly. Elias pulled a chair close to her bedside and sat down. "It's all right to be scared. You came here alone. You were brave enough to ask for help. That means you've already done something strong." She tried to smile, but it looked weak. "I thought, if I bring hair, I can buy the cure." "Ah." Elias glanced at the pouch again. "You tried to save yourself the only way you knew. That shows how smart and strong you are." Kaeli's fingers touched the short, uneven parts of her hair. Elias shook his head. "Your mother will be happy as long as you get better." Kaeli closed her eyes. "Will I get better? Will I get better?" Elias swallowed hard. "Yes. I'm going to take care of you." "Well." He stood again and walked to the cabinet. His hands shook slightly as he opened the drawer again. He took out a single vial of multi-species antibiotic. It was clear, almost like water, but inside it held the cure she needed. He turned it over in his hand, thinking about the risk. Then he made his decision. Rules didn't matter. Saving a life mattered. He prepared a small dose and returned to Kaeli. She watched him through half-lidded eyes. "What is that?" "It's medicine," he said gently. "Human medicine. It can help you." Kaeli looked scared again. "But the council says Arlani should not take human medicine. My father says human medicine is too strong." Elias knelt beside her again. "Some human medicines are strong. Yes, but this one is safe for Arlani. It's designed to help different species. It won't hurt you." She hesitated, thinking carefully. Even in her weak state, she understood the weight of that decision. Arlani children were taught to trust their own medicine. She had probably never taken anything else. "Will it stop the pain?" she whispered. "Yes," Elias said softly. "And it will help your body fight the sickness." Kaeli looked at the ceiling for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "Okay." Elias gently cleaned her arm and administered the injection. She tensed for a moment, then relaxed. He watched her carefully for signs of discomfort, but she seemed calm. Her breathing stayed steady, and her shoulders loosened a little. As the medicine began to work through her bloodstream, Elias checked the scanner again. The bacteria readings started to slow. It wasn't a full recovery yet, but it was a start. He felt a wave of relief. "You're doing great," he told her. Just rest now. Kaylee gave a tiny nod. I feel warm. That's normal, he said. It means the medicine is working. She closed her eyes, and for the first time since arriving at the clinic, she didn't look like she was fighting to stay conscious. She drifted into a light sleep. Elias stayed beside her, watching the scanner. Every few minutes he checked her pulse. He wasn't going to leave her alone until he was sure she was stable. While he watched her, he thought about the colony. The Arlani were peaceful, kind, and deeply proud of their traditions. Humans respected that, but sometimes traditions were slow. And the council avoided change even when change could save lives. He wondered what they would say if they knew he had just given human antibiotics to an Arlani child. A sudden knock at the clinic door made him jump. He quickly covered the vial and hid the syringe. He didn't want anyone to suspect anything. The door slid open, and a tall Arlani woman stepped in. Her hair was braided with tiny crystal beads, and her face showed deep concern. She was breathing quickly, as if she had run all the way to the clinic. Dr. Rourke, she said urgently. Have you seen my daughter? Her name is Kaylee. She is small, with long hair. Her voice broke when she saw Kaylee sleeping on the examination table. Kaylee, she cried, rushing forward. She pressed her hands over her mouth, tears forming in her eyes as she saw the uneven patches in her daughter's hair. Elias stood and tried to stay calm. She came on her own earlier this morning. She wasn't feeling well. Kaylee's mother touched her daughter's cheek and looked at Elias with fear. What happened? Why did she cut her hair? Why did she not tell us? Eamon Lime feign this crise. When Rasan. She thought she could trade her hair for medicine. Elias said softly. She wanted to help herself. And verily. The woman closed her eyes in pain. She is just a child. She does not understand. I know, Elias said gently. But she is strong, and she came at the right time. Kaylee's mother looked at him sharply. What did you give her? What treatment? Elias froze. He hadn't planned what to say. He answered carefully. I ran a diagnostic. Her condition was severe. I stabilized her while waiting to see how she responds. Well, she was not scame. That wasn't untrue. But it wasn't the full truth either. The woman studied him with worried eyes. Will she be well? Elias nodded. Yes. She is already improving. The mother let out a shaky breath and sat beside the table, gently holding Kaylee's hand. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for helping my daughter. Elias felt guilt twist inside him. She was thanking him for breaking the colony rules. But if he hadn't broken them, Kaylee might have collapsed before her mother ever found her. He let the mother stay with Kaylee while he went to sterilize his tools and clear the counter. As he cleaned, he kept looking over at Kaylee. She looked peaceful now, breathing softly while her mother stroked her hair. He knew she would make it if he continued treatment. But the council might not approve a second dose. If they found out he had already given the first one without permission, they could shut down the clinic or remove him from the colony. His thoughts were interrupted again when the clinic door opened a second time. 2 Arlani council guards stepped inside. Elias felt his stomach drop. One guard spoke firmly. Dr. Rourke, we received a report. An Arlani child is being treated here without authorization. Kaylee's mother stood quickly. She was dying. The doctor helped her. The guard lifted a hand. We are not here to punish her. We only need to confirm the treatment. Elias forced himself to stay calm. She is stable now. That is all that matters. The guard's eyes narrowed. What method did you use? Elias met his gaze evenly. A careful one. The guard stepped forward. Dr. Rourke, we will need your full report. Elias knew this moment was coming, but he also knew one thing. Kaylee was alive, and he would protect her even if it meant standing against the council itself. Elias stood very still as the two Arlani guards entered the clinic. Their silver-blue uniforms reflected the light from the ceiling, and their long hair was tied in the traditional high knot, a sign of authority among their people. Their faces were calm, but serious. They did not look angry, but they also did not look friendly. They had the expression of people who believed rules mattered more than anything else. Kaylee's mother stood protectively beside her daughter's bed. She did not move away, even when the guards walked closer. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her eyes showed determination. Elias took a slow breath. He reminded himself to stay calm. The most important thing right now was Kaylee. She was still asleep, her breathing soft and steady. The medicine was working exactly as expected, and the infection had slowed. But she needed another dose later in the day to fully recover. Without it, the bacteria might return and grow stronger. The first guard, the taller one, looked around the clinic. "Dr. Rourke," he said in a firm voice, "we understand you have treated an Arlani child without council approval." Elias kept his expression neutral. "She came here alone," he said, "and she was in critical condition. I had to act quickly." "Right one." The second guard stepped forward. "Quick action does not excuse breaking protocol. You know the rules. Arlani citizens must receive Arlani-approved treatment unless special authorization is granted." Kaylee's mother gripped her daughter's hand tightly. "She would have died if she waited for authorization. You were not there. You did not see her state." The tall guard turned toward her. His voice softened slightly. "We understand your concern, but procedures exist for a reason." Then, he returned his attention to Elias. "Doctor, what exactly did you administer?" Elias felt the pressure rising. If he told them the truth, he could lose everything. If he lied, he would break trust with the council. Either choice carried risk. But then he looked at Kaylee again. She had trusted him. She had come alone, terrified and weak, believing the human doctor might help her. She mattered more than rules. She mattered more than his position or reputation. He spoke carefully. "I gave her a stabilizing treatment." The second guard frowned. "That is not a clear answer." Elias met his gaze. "Because her condition was not simple. She was in danger. I took steps to keep her alive." Kaylee's mother nodded fiercely. "He saved her. That is all you need to know." The guards exchanged a glance. They seemed unsure how far to push the situation. Finally, the tall guard said, "We need to contact the council and inform them. Someone will arrive soon to ask more questions. Until then, do not give her any more treatment without permission." Those words struck Elias like a stone. Kaylee needed another dose. Without it, she might slip backward. He kept his face calm. "Understood." The guards gave one last look at him, then bowed slightly to Kaylee's mother and left the clinic. As soon as the door closed, Kaylee's mother exhaled loudly and turned to Elias. "Are they going to punish you?" Elias shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe. They will ask many questions." She looked down at her daughter. "I do not care about their questions. You helped her. That is the only truth." Elias appreciated her support, but he knew the council would not see it that way. He moved back to the scanner and checked Kaylee's readings again. Her condition was improving, but not enough yet. She still needed the second dose. Kaylee stirred slightly, opening her eyes. She blinked in confusion when she saw her mother. "Mama?" Her mother leaned close, brushing her fingers through the uneven strands of Kaylee's hair. "I am here, my little star. You are safe." Kaylee looked at Elias. "Doctor, I'm here too," he said gently. She touched her chest lightly. "Warm, but the pain is less." "That means the medicine is helping," he said. Kaylee smiled weakly. "Good." But her mother looked worried. "Can she go home soon?" Elias hesitated. "Not yet. She still needs another treatment, later today. Kaylee's mother frowned. Will the council allow it? Elias looked down at his hands. There was a long silence. Kaylee looked from her mother to Elias, sensing the tension. Did I do something wrong? She asked softly. No, Elias said immediately. You did nothing wrong. Her mother agreed. You did nothing wrong, Kaylee. We are the adults. We deal with the problems. But Kaylee still looked troubled. I don't want anyone to fight because of me. Elias gently patted her arm. No one is fighting. We are only trying to make sure you get better. He helped her sit up slightly and gave her water. She drank slowly, still tired, but stronger than earlier. The medicine was doing its job. Elias felt a small wave of hope. If the council would just allow one more dose, everything would be fine. Hours passed while Kaylee rested. Her mother stayed by her side the entire time, never leaving the room. Elias tried to keep himself busy cleaning, organizing supplies, updating charts, but his mind stayed on the same thought: the next dose of medicine. When the council arrived, would they forbid it? Around midday, footsteps echoed outside. The clinic door opened again, and 3 Arlani council members entered. All older and dressed in long white robes. They carried small digital tablets and wore expressions of strict formality. Elias straightened, preparing himself. The one in the center, Counselor Veshar, spoke first. Dr. Rourke, we have received a report regarding unauthorized treatment of an Arlani minor. Kaylee's mother stood quickly. My daughter was dying. The doctor saved her. Veshar raised a hand. Please allow us to speak with the doctor first. She clenched her jaw but stayed silent. The counselor stepped closer to Elias. We respect your dedication to your work. Humans have served this colony with effort and kindness. But rules exist to keep balance between our cultures. Elias kept his voice calm. And what about balance between life and death? The room became still. Veshar narrowed his eyes. Are you suggesting our rules endanger lives? I'm suggesting they delay help. Elias said. Kaylee had a fast-moving infection. If I waited for approval, she might not have survived. Another counselor stepped forward. Did you administer human medicine? Elias hesitated. He felt Kaylee's mother watching him. He felt Kaylee's tired gaze too. And he remembered his promise. He would save her. He answered clearly, yes. A soft gasp came from Kaylee's mother, not out of surprise, but out of fear for him. The room fell silent again. The counselors exchanged glances. Veshar's voice became stern. Dr. Rourke, you have violated interspecies medical protocol. Elias remained steady. I violated nothing compared to what would have happened if she died. Kaylee's mother stepped forward. He acted with compassion. He acted because our daughter needed help. Kaylee tugged weakly at her mother's sleeve. Please, don't be angry at him. Veshar looked at Kaylee. For a moment, his strict expression softened slightly. He saw her uneven hair, the weakness still in her body, the innocence in her eyes. Then he turned back to Elias. We will need to examine the child ourselves to determine if further action is necessary. Elias stiffened. They might decide to stop treatment. They might think the human medicine was dangerous, even though it wasn't. If they interfered now, Kaylee's recovery could be ruined. He positioned himself near Kaylee. You may observe, but you may not remove her from this room. And you may not deny the next treatment. One of the counselors raised his eyebrows. You dare to command the council? I dare to protect my patient, Elias said. The courage in his voice surprised even himself. Kaylee's mother stood beside him. And I stand with him. The counselors seemed unsure how to respond. They whispered among themselves in their own language for several minutes. Finally, Veshar spoke. We will review this situation. But until then, Dr. Rourke, You are forbidden from administering any more medicine. Elias felt the words hit him like a hammer. Kaylee needed that second dose soon. If he obeyed the counsel, she could get worse again. If he disobeyed, he would risk everything. He looked at Kaylee's small, tired face. There was no choice. He would save her even if it meant standing against the entire council. The room felt tense after the council members left. Their final order echoed in Elias's mind. You are forbidden from administering any more medicine. It felt like a wall had been placed between him and Kaylee's recovery. He watched her lying on the table, her breathing steady but still weak. The infection had slowed, but it was not gone. He knew exactly how long the first dose would protect her, just a few more hours. After that, the bacteria could return, stronger than before. Kaylee's mother sat beside her, brushing her fingers gently across what was left of her daughter's hair. She kept glancing at the door, worried the guards might return. She whispered something to Kaylee in the Arlani language, soft and soothing. Kaylee listened sleepily, then drifted into a light rest again. Elias stepped into the small side room to think, closing the door halfway. He looked at the shelves of medical supplies. The second dose was already prepared. He had mixed it in advance, because he knew Kaylee's condition needed fast action. It sat inside a metal box, hidden behind other tools. Every minute he debated what to do. That dose waited. He leaned his hands on the counter, staring at the faded reflection of his face in the metal surface. He thought of all the years he worked to become a doctor. He thought of why he left Earth to help new colonies, to save lives, to make a difference. He had not come here to let a child die because of politics. He heard footsteps behind him. Kaylee's mother entered quietly, closing the door so Kaylee would not hear. "Doctor," she said softly, "please tell me the truth. What will happen if Kaylee does not get the next treatment?" Elias sighed. "Her improvement will stop. The infection will return. And it could become harder to fight." Her eyes filled with fear. "How long until that happens?" "Hours," he answered. "Not days, hours." She closed her eyes and whispered, "The council will not return before evening. They take time to decide things." When she opened her eyes again, she looked desperate. "Are you saying we must wait until it is too late?" Elias shook his head. "I'm saying she needs the medicine now." She stepped closer. "Then, you should give it to her." "You heard the council," Elias said quietly. "If I give her more medicine without their approval, I could be removed from duty, removed from the colony, maybe even banned from practicing medicine here again." Her voice trembled. "But if you do nothing, she could die." The truth hung heavily between them. She touched his arm gently. "Dr. Rourke, I trust you. My daughter trusts you. You saved her once already. Please save her again. Forget the council. Forget the rules. What matters is life." Elias stared at her, feeling the weight of her hope. Every doctor faces a moment in their life when they must choose between rules and the person in front of them. Elias had reached his moment. "I will save her," he said quietly. "No matter the cost." Kaylee's mother's eyes filled with relief. She clasped her hands together and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you." They returned to the main room. Kaylee was awake again, blinking slowly. She tried to sit up, but Elias rushed to steady her. "Easy," he said gently. "How do you feel?" Kaylee looked at him with tired eyes. "Hot, and a little dizzy." Those were signs the medicine's protection was weakening. Elias didn't waste a second. He went to the box, opened it, and took out the second dose. Kaylee saw the vial and whispered, "Is that the human medicine again?" "Yes," he answered. "This will help you get fully better." She hesitated. "Will the council be mad?" Elias gave her a small smile. "Let me worry about the council. You just focus on getting healthy." Kaylee nodded, trusting him completely. He prepared the injection, and gently gave it to her. She winced slightly, then relaxed. Almost immediately, her breathing eased. Her shoulders loosened. The tension in her face faded. She looked more comfortable than she had since she arrived. Kaylee's mother let out a shaky breath. "Thank you," she whispered again. Elias cleaned the injection site and checked the scanner. The readings began to shift as the medicine spread through her system. The bacteria levels continued to drop. This time, they were falling much faster, much more effectively. By the time the medicine completed its cycle, the infection would be gone. He felt a deep sense of relief. Time passed slowly as Kaylee rested peacefully. Elias stayed close, checking her pulse, watching her breathing, adjusting the blankets when she shivered. Kaylee's mother stayed silent, only touching her daughter's hand occasionally as if reassuring herself that Kaylee was still safe. Hours later, the peace was broken by loud footsteps outside. The clinic door swung open. Counselor Veshar entered with the 2 guards and another council member. Their expressions were sharp and serious. Elias felt his stomach tighten. Kaylee's mother stood protectively in front of her daughter. Veshar looked straight at Elias. "Dr. Rourke, we have come to check the child's condition and to confirm that no additional, unauthorized treatment was given." Elias took a deep breath. He knew lying was pointless. He stepped closer and stood tall. "I gave her the medicine she needed," he said plainly. "I gave her a second dose." The room went silent. The second counselor's eyes widened. "You directly disobeyed our order?" Kaylee's mother stepped forward. "He saved her life! Look at her, she is recovering!" Veshar frowned and checked the scanner. His eyes scanned the data. The readings were clear. The infection was almost gone. One guard looked confused. "The healing is impressive." The second guard nodded. "She looks stronger." Veshar pressed his lips together. Despite that, the doctor still broke protocol. Elias replied, "Protocol cannot be more important than a child's life." Veshar glared. "Rules protect our culture. If humans interfere too much..." Kaylee's weak voice interrupted softly. "Please, don't be mad at him." Everyone turned to her. She was sitting up slightly, her face calm and clearer than before. "He helped me," she whispered. "He was kind. He didn't let me be scared alone." Her small voice struck something deep inside the council members. Even Veshar hesitated. Kaylee continued, "I want to live, and he helped me live." Her mother touched her shoulder proudly. "Yes, he did." The counselors stood together again, whispering to each other. Elias waited silently, ready for whatever punishment they chose. He had already accepted it. Saving Kaylee mattered more than anything else. Finally, Veshar turned to Elias. His expression was no longer cold. It looked thoughtful. "Dr. Rourke," he said slowly, "you broke the rules. That is true. But you saved a child. That is also true." And Elias stayed quiet. "Perhaps," Veshar continued, "it is time for the council to reconsider the old protocols. Perhaps human medicine should be allowed when it is the best option." The second counselor nodded. "This situation shows that cooperation saves lives." Kaylee's mother gasped softly, surprised but hopeful. Veshar faced Elias fully. "We will not punish you. Instead, we will ask you to teach us about this medicine." Elias felt relief wash over him. "Thank you," he said sincerely. Kaylee smiled, small but bright. "Does that mean other sick children can be helped too?" "Yes," her mother said, tears in her eyes. Later that evening, the clinic grew quiet again. The council had left, satisfied with the new agreement. Kaylee slept peacefully, her breathing strong and steady. Her mother sat beside her with a soft smile, filled with gratitude and pride. Elias stepped outside and looked up at the sky of Lunarith. The 3 moons glowed softly above the colony. For the first time in days, he felt calm. He had risked everything. But humanity rose when someone dared to choose compassion over fear. And because of that, an alien girl lived saved by a human doctor who refused to give up.